Welcome back to the Stack Report, brought to you by 24 Sports and our fantastic sponsor, the Sackville Hotel in Rozelle. A great conversation for you today. I hope you really enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed recording it. Kevin Naiqama, the Wests Tigers winger. He's a star of the NRL. He's a cult hero of the Tigers Football Club. He's had an incredible journey to get to this point. Please enjoy Kevin Naiqama on the Stack Report. Well, it's a warm welcome to the Stack Report, brought to you by the Sackville Hotel in Rozelle. To Kev. Kev, how you going, mate?
Good, thanks.
Mate, it's fantastic to have you on board. An exciting season for the Tigers, your 9th season in the NRL, but I want to go way back and talk to you about your early stages in rugby league. Can you remember your first sort of game of rugby league as just a junior?
My first sort of game, it's sort of a blur because we're going back a long time now, but I was 6 years old. I was playing for a local club at the time, which was Uncle Scott's, and all I remember is my parents used to tell me the stories that I never used to get tackled, so I was always scoring all the time. So they said...
Nothing's changed.
No, it's changed a lot since then. But they were saying that the first time I actually got tackled, I cried and walked off the field.
How did they turn you around?
They didn't. I didn't end up playing the rest of the game.
Well, it's good to hear that even at a young age you weren't accustomed to failure and you didn't like it. What did you love about the sport of rugby league as you were growing up as a young fella?
What I loved about it is all the different people that came together. So I met a lot of people through rugby league, especially at a young age. I enjoyed just, besides the rugby league factor, but hanging out with people because I made new friends at footy. So for me, it was more just hanging out with them and having fun at the time when I was young.
Because obviously, you know, you're of Fijian descent. Your parents were born and raised in Fiji. They moved out here very young.
Yeah.
Was rugby league a good bridge for you to sort of get into the wider community, you know, and meet people who weren't necessarily of Fijian heritage?
Yeah. For myself, we didn't really have much growing up. So pretty much when I was playing football was the only time I got to hang out with people outside of when I was at school. So it was good in relation to meeting other people of different backgrounds and different walks of life. And, you know, it taught me a lot about life as well from where people came from and their upbringings.
You talk about not having very much growing up. What was life as a young man like in St. George?
In St. George?
In your family?
Yeah, so like my parents were very hard workers. You know, but all my siblings were very thankful for what they've done. And, you know, without their sacrifices they did working all those shifts and my mum having 2 jobs, we wouldn't be where we are today. So what it looked like basically was, you know, we didn't have much, but we did have a lot in each other. And, you know, that meant a lot to us in the love that we had for each other because, you know, it's still strong today and it's a foundation of who I am and who we are as a family. But yeah, what it looked like was pretty much all we had was just a roof over our head and just food on the table. And my mum worked extra hard to make sure we'd never miss a meal. You know, and it's, you know, it's still this day, I'm still grateful for her. And I got so much love for her, so whenever she needs anything, I'm always there for her.
What work was she doing to try and put food on the table for the family?
Well, she was doing 2 shifts. So she'd work during the day while we're at school from 7 till 3. And then...
Doing what, Kev?
She was a nurse.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So she was a nurse and she'd do that from 7 till 3. She'd be home for probably about 4 or 5 hours. And enough to make our lunches for the next day and dinner. And then she'd be back at work at about 9:30 again to work till 6 in the morning, yeah.
That's tough.
It is.
So obviously, you know, you recognise now the sort of sacrifices that she was making at the time, in the moment. Could you tell how hard she was doing it to try and look after the family? Sort
of, but not, I didn't really understand it till I got a bit older. And obviously when you're working and not in school, you understand how hard she worked. And I feel like part of the reason why me and my brother and my sisters as well are hard workers is because of what she installed in us when we were younger.
How big was the family? How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Yeah, so I got one older brother, obviously Wes.
Yeah,
who played first grade. And I got 2 younger sisters. One is named Sarah, who's 22, and another older sister who's married. Her name's Rhonda, who's 26.
Yeah, nice. And how important was Wes's influence growing up? I'm guessing you probably looked up to Wes quite a bit.
Yeah, I definitely looked up to Wes. My parents split at a young age when I was about 12 years old. So we went for most of our childhood pretty much without a father. So, we're very blessed to have someone like my brother Wes who sort of took on that burden and stepped in was forced to step in really because we didn't have no other option, and really took care of helping mum with the bills and also looking after me and my two sisters.
So yeah, just touching on your brother, obviously he was a young talent coming through the ranks, Kev. At what sort of age did you realise that you were actually a serious talent and you could potentially pursue this as a career path?
It wasn't until I was actually much older. Obviously when I was younger, I always aspired to want to be playing in the NRL because I used to watch it and live and breathe it when I was a young kid. But I think when I was 16 to sort of 20, I was at a crossroads because I was so small. So just size was a big factor. So I guess if you're young and you're real big, there's more chance of you getting picked over someone else. So size wasn't on my side. So like for that 4 years, I was sort of in a dilemma of whether, I could still play rugby league because of, I guess I'm like really, really short. And it probably wasn't until my last year of 20, it's probably the back end of the year that I started to come into my own and believe in myself and have a lot more confidence about the abilities that I had. And, it wasn't about the size, but about like the heart and dedication and hard work you're willing to put in. And so it was probably a 4-year process of me thinking about that, whether I was going to be able to play in the NRL. And I guess the pressures, I've sort of put that on myself, but like with my brother playing NRL and they expect that, I guess, to go through the bloodline and they expect the younger brother to play. So I sort of put that but probably too much pressure on myself with that. But, I'm glad and blessed that I sort of grown to the player that I am. And, I think part of that is like through my family, but also through my faith.
How did you have the motivation to keep going? Because obviously it's quite a late sort of time to be making that debut in the NRL. There must have been times where you thought, maybe this is not going to be the right pathway for me.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of times, man, to be honest. Especially when I was 18, 19, 20, those thoughts kept running through my mind. And, because with under 20s, it's pretty much if you don't get a full-time contract then they sort of feel that's like the cutoff age at the time that you're too old to sort of play first grade. So I guess there's a lot of pressure as a young kid to either make it or break it. So for myself, I actually stopped working that last 6 months of 20 when I was 20 and really wanted to give it a hard shot. And, lucky it was the right decision at the time. And, through that time, like I didn't have much income on a 20s contract, and that's why I was working to get some more money. But my brother helped me with that, and he goes, if you really want to give it a crack, I want to help you as much as I can. So he was a massive help and influence on that decision as well.
So Wes paid your way for that 6 months while you were trying to get yourself into a level where you could play in the NRL?
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
That's a massive sacrifice, isn't it? Like what a good thing to do from your brother.
It is, yeah. And like I said, I'm so grateful for that. And if he didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be where I am today as well.
Tell me about your NRL debut. How did it finally come to pass?
Yeah, it was actually I wasn't even supposed to play, to be honest. It was the last round of the year. This was in 2010. We were playing in Melbourne in round 26.
And who were you representing?
I was playing I was at Newcastle Knights.
Yep.
So what happened is I was supposed to be playing Premier League the whole week, and Junior Sal at the time, who used to play at Newcastle, did his hammy 2 days before the game. And the coach called me in. He said, you have to come in captain's run just in case he doesn't pull up good. So went in on the captain's run, which is the day before the game. And after the training session, he didn't pull up too good. And the coach came up to me and said, I'll be making my NRL debut.
What was that feeling like?
It was pretty surreal. Like I said, when all those thoughts flood your mind about doubts and fears of whether you're going to play the NRL. I guess all that process of coming up through the junior ranks, you always aspire to play one game, and then that becoming a reality in pretty much three or four words. It was surreal, but like what made it even more special is that my brother was playing as well.
Yeah.
It's something that I always wanted to do. I never thought it'd be able to because of our age gap. We're 7 years apart, and it was honestly like a moment that I'll probably remember forever.
Yeah. And did your mum come up and obviously watch you guys playing together?
Yeah.
She must have been very proud.
She was. So I called her pretty much straight away after the session, just in excitement and joy, and called her, and then she booked her flight straight away and came down actually with my younger sister.
Yeah. Wow, all those late nights at the hospital, hey? Finally, paying off in such a big moment for her.
Yeah, it is. I think for us, not only myself but my brother and my two sisters, nothing brings my mum more joy than seeing us successful in life, and it really does make for herself, like all those sacrifices, like you said, in the hospital, all worth it.
Was that the last time that you and Wes got to play together, or were there moments?
So that was the only time actually we got to play together in the NRL. But after that, we've actually played together on numerous occasions for Fiji.
Fiji.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Obviously, you've enjoyed quite a journey through the sort of rugby league circles. Newcastle, then on to St George. Was that right?
Penrith.
Sorry, Penrith.
Yeah.
I was confusing you with your brother Wes. My bad. And of course, you've ended up at the Tigers. 2015, you joined the Tigers. What happened for you to join the Tigers? Can you just take us through that process as how you ended up playing for the West Tigers?
Yeah, so I was actually at Penrith before that. I signed a 2-year contract after I left Newcastle. And, I still had a year left actually remaining on my Penrith deal, and, Tigers offered me an opportunity to come to there. But at the time I was playing with Penrith, there was just a lot of depth at Penrith. It was real hard for me to sort of play first grade, and there's heaps of young kids as well that were pushing. So for myself, it was probably at the time it was the best option because I wasn't getting much game time. And like you said, 2015 went to the Tigers, and it's probably been the best decision I've made. Playing a lot more first grade consistently and enjoying my footy as well.
How have you found the Tigers community, the broader fan base?
Yeah, it's unreal. For me, I've never experienced anything like that. This is my third NRL club, and they're great, especially when we play at Leichhardt and Campbelltown. But just through it all, like thick and thin, they're real loyal fans. They stick by you, and they're just always. I get the sense that they're always real encouraging, and all they want is for you to rip in. And if the boys are doing that, that makes them happy.
It seems as though your cult status has really grown during that time. How important has your hair been to that? Some magnificent set of locks you got there, Kev.
Yeah, so I've never really had this hairstyle. I've always had it cut number one all the way around. So it was only till I came to the Tigers that I started growing it like this. I think a massive influence was Will Smith. I used to love watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was I just loved his hairstyle back then, and that sort of inspired me to get this haircut, and sort of stuck ever since I've been here.
How much maintenance does it take?
It actually doesn't take anything at all, honestly. All they do is cut the sides, and then it just stays like that. Like, see, like I move it just go back up, stay up.
I spoke to Josh Reynolds, and he was telling me that he gets his hair cut once a week. We've got a barber that comes into the club. Are you in the same sort of category? Once a week you get a fresh cut?
Nah, not me. This can last me probably 3-4 weeks, and then I'll get a cut.
I was also talking to Benji Marshall earlier today, and he was suggesting that no one at the club has a skin routine quite like yourself, that your skin and conditioning, your exfoliation is second to none. Talk us through your routine to keep that skin so glowing so nicely.
I can't believe you brought that up. I guess when it comes to grooming, I really like to take care of myself. So, like you said, my exfoliating gloves and my soap and conditioner, I carry it everywhere. Every game, every training session. I never leave anywhere without them.
So you say that you roll up to the club every week with your exfoliating gloves, and the boys must be giving you a hard time.
Without fail, honestly, all the time. You can ask all the boys. I can't have a shower without them.
And when did you pick up this habit? I'm guessing you haven't always been such a meticulous person with your skincare.
I guess it's honestly since I came to the West Tigers that I've sort of taken this peculiar exfoliating glove sort of cleaning process.
Well, mate, you're looking magnificent. So I've got to tip my cap to you. Getting back to the footy side of things, it's been a really exciting year for the Tigers. A difficult last few weeks, sort of recording this after the defeat to the Warriors and ahead of the game with the Cowboys. But I mean, I don't think anyone expected the electric start to the season. Did you feel like it was a bit of a special thing, something special brewing in pre-season with Ivan Cleary this year?
Yeah, even before that, I guess it's probably the back end of last year where we sort of to come into the structure that Ivan was trying to get us to play, and it was also a hard job, like him stepping in, during the season at the start, not having a full pre-season with the boys. But I feel like it started back then, probably around the last 8 rounds last year, and then having a full preseason. Obviously, I was in there November, December, but January, and I could just see like it just felt like a whole new playing group. It was that within the new players we recruited, but not only that, but just how tight everyone was, and everyone just enjoying working hard for each other. So like through that, the time that I was there, which was from January to till we started our trial matches, I could just feel it, you know, around the training session, just the confidence in the boys that they had in their training and the structure that Ivan wanted to bring in. It started to show in the trials, saw glimpses of it, and then, like you said, probably in the first 5 to 6 rounds, we sort of played that style of footy. And like we've gone away from it the last couple of weeks, and that's why it'd be good that it's not a long turnaround from the Warriors game. It's only 5 days, so I think that's a good thing about footy. You don't have to wait too long to sort of right the wrongs, and boys will be looking forward to this Thursday night.
Just a short break to thank our sponsors, the Sackville Hotel in Rozelle. Fantastic. Without them, this project would not be possible. 24 Sports, trying to bring you some great sports conversations. And Kevin Naiqama has certainly been that. If you're enjoying this one, you'll probably enjoy a few more in the back catalogue too. Plenty of big names from the NRL, the AFL, cricket, and plenty of other sports too. But for now, it's back to the Stack Report with Kevin Naiqama. What do you like about Ivan Cleary as a coach? Why has he been so effective at the club?
It just the way he breaks down the game. It makes it real simple, but not only that, it's effective as well. So just the stuff that he brings that you don't even think about that make up the game over the 80 minutes, the course of the game. It's something that I've never thought of and only learnt since he's come into the club, and something that I want to continue to use as a player and to continue to grow.
You've spoken previously about faith and how important it is to the national side, Fiji, who you represent. Do you see any parallels to what you're enjoying at the Tigers? I mean, faith presents itself in all kinds of different ways.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual or
Yep.
religious. Do you see are there similar parallels there at all?
In relation to...
In terms of at the Tigers, are you seeing a sort of a faith in each other and a faith in what the club's doing that's helping build a special culture?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, the inclusions of the new boys, you know, like there's Russell, Benny, Grub, and Bags, but like they all bring a lot of experience, but also they bring a lot of trust, where boys can trust in what they've done before previously, and then just their experience rubs off on everyone. Their leadership, the way they carry themselves, and like I said, it's just everyone has faith in the process that what Ivan has brought, but also in each other to cover each other's backs whenever we're against the wall.
I want to talk to you about the special experience of the 2017 Rugby League World Cup.
Yeah.
How incredible was it to be involved in what Fiji managed to achieve?
Yeah, it was incredible. Honestly, it was the most amazing experience of my life. Just playing with the Fijian boys, and it's so hard to explain in words. People have asked me so many times about it, and it's one of those things where you just want them to be a part of the camp and to feel it. But like I said, there was a lot of key factors that helped us be so successful. But like all we can point it down to is our faith. You know, as a Fijian, part of our Fijian culture is spiritual as well, and what that looked like, what I was telling you before, was just pretty much how a pastor would travel with us. So he was traveling with us that whole 8 weeks we're in camp. And pretty much our camp looked like was 7 o'clock in the morning to 7:30. We'd have open up in a word of prayer, sing a couple of hymns, and the pastor would bring the word, and then we'd have it again just before dinner, which would be from 6 to 6:30 again. And that brought us a lot closer. By the first week and a half, you could just feel the closeness between that, having the devotions and just the brotherhood. There's just this tightness that I've never felt before, and that projected into not only our training but in our games. And I'm not a betting man, but like I said, that New Zealand game when we played them in the quarterfinal, like you wouldn't bet on us to win that game, especially with the depth and the squad that we had. It's not a team to test the Tier 1 nation in New Zealand, because they're real successful and got a lot of big name players. But that's what we brought it down to, like a David and Goliath match. And you know, they were definitely the Goliath and we were the David, and that's what our pastor was sharing for us throughout the week, and we believed that, and that's what got us through the game.
He was sharing that story with you, was he?
Yes, he was.
Were there members of the squad who came into the tournament who weren't necessarily religious or spiritual, and they found a new part of themselves in that?
They did. There was a lot of people. I think probably by the third week and fourth week that were really buying into it. In the hymns, some of it was the first time they had ever sung it. So, once they learnt the words, and 3 or 4 weeks, I guess it just does an inward transformation. You can't see it on the outside, where you just see a lot more people singing with their eyes closed. I think you saw it within our hymns that we sung before the game as well, in our national anthem. There's just a lot of pride and passion that the boys had, not only for their country, but also for the inward transformation that was being done within the camp.
I think anyone who watched those singing sessions and moments before the games would have noticed, guys like yourself, big tough rugby league players with tears streaming down their face. It was quite an incredible thing to behold. Is it something, did you think every time that you went out that you were going to end up in tears, or does the emotion just overcome you?
Yeah, the emotion just overcame. Like I said, just all the thoughts would flood my mind of when my mum was growing up, and when we were growing up, and the sacrifices she'd made, and just for how far, to be honest, it was only by God's grace that I was there. I shouldn't have been there. With the life that we had growing up, there was every opportunity for us not even to take that path but it's like the thoughts of my mum flooding my mind, my family, all the people back in Fiji, because we're in camp in Fiji, and just how proud they are of us Fijians. They might not follow rugby league, but anytime Fiji is playing, the whole nation stands up. And I was just thinking about all the stuff flooding my mind, and then just overcome with emotion, and just couldn't hold in the tears.
Does it make it quite hard to go and play a game of football after that, or does it make it easy?
I wouldn't say it makes it hard or easy. It's just, I guess, a moment where where you reflect, I guess, in that moment of the national anthem and the hymn, and I guess we all regather ourselves, and we were all aware of that would be, overcome with emotion, and that not to let it get the best of us, that we had to sort of just make a controlled emotion, because you can sort of go out of how you want to play when you're overwhelmed with emotion.
I'm really interested in Mick Potter, the one-time Tigers coach, who, as I understand it, tried to recruit you to the Tigers before he left the club. He was obviously running Fiji at the time. I don't know if he's a religious man or not, but how did he fit into the picture when there was this such overwhelming sort of groundswell of a direction that the national team was taking?
He actually was really good. He spoke to me a couple of times of, he wasn't much of a spiritual man, but he really appreciated it and loved what we were doing. And he goes, that's the first time he's ever seen anything like it. And for me, it's like those devotions are for people like that. They've never experienced any sort of encounters. And when the pastor's talking every morning and night, and we're singing hymns together, it's impossible to not be present and feel anything from it. And I feel like he was only one example of a few other people in the squad, including staff and players. But it's crazy how much he had grown as well, because by the end of it, he actually spoke to us from the Bible in one of the devotions as well.
That must have been a special moment.
It was, to see someone who doesn't have any faith or spirituality whatsoever, and then to be reading scripture from the Bible and talking to us. And it was actually about David and Goliath as well. It brings a lot of joy to my heart.
Did you go back to Fiji after the World Cup?
Yeah. Yes, we all went back after the World Cup.
And what sort of what did you see in the community?
The reception was unbelievable. Obviously, that the sevens team. So rugby union's number one in Fiji, right? So everyone loves the sevens team, and they'd run the gold medal, previously in the Olympics, and even I was so happy, and everyone around the world were just posting stuff about how good Fiji were in the sevens. And it was actually, I didn't know how much it impacted the people, that when we went back after the World Cup, that they were saying that win over New Zealand was the biggest thing they've ever experienced. Just the whole nation of Fiji, they said it was bigger than the sevens winning the gold medal, which was, I was really taken back, and there was a lot of people just saying that, and just how much people just started crying in front of the TV, and it's crazy that rugby league can do that to people back home and just bring them hope and joy like that.
Fijian community seems a pretty special sort of group, very inclusive, sort of loving, fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see some parallels between that and what you see in sort of the Tigers community as well? Do you see the sort of, I guess, the sense of community there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a big community here, especially with us being not only based in Balmain but also in Campbelltown. And when we do the promos or any time we interact with the fans, you can feel that community, that love, and just how proud the people are that live in the area. And it just encourages us more. And I guess you see how deep of an impact you can have. It's not just about rugby league, but you can actually do something for people back home and give them something to cheer for.
What do you think makes a strong culture in a national rugby league team?
A strong culture, well,
or in any rugby league team?
In
really?
any rugby league team, I think the coach can only do so much for him. He tries to bring the team together, but I think it's on the players, the squad that you have.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're the only ones who are going to play the game, and the coach can only do so much for you. He definitely has an influence, the coach, but also the players in the playing group. If you recruit the right players and have the right squad members around, they can create that culture. And I feel like that's what Ivan's done here at the Tigers with bringing all the new boys in and some younger boys coming into the squad. They've just created a culture where we've sort of, how would I say it? It's a culture before that probably we were used to losing, where they've created a winning culture that, we have the past couple of weeks we've lost by 2 points, but us players personally feel like we lost by 20 or 30. And, that's the culture they're creating here that, just losing by 2, we used to think that was a win for us, but now that's just not acceptable.
So I want to talk about your position as a winger, Kev. Obviously it's a position that allows you to potentially score a lot of tries, and who doesn't love scoring tries, but it also means you've got to try and stop blokes scoring a lot of tries. Who is it when you come up against them, you're like, oh God, I'm in for a long day here? Who are the tough wingers in the NRL to go head to head with?
Tough wingers I would have played against, I think one of them would have to be Manu Vadavai.
Yeah.
He takes a lot of stopping to do. He's probably one of the wingers. He's probably actually the toughest winger I've played against in rugby league.
What makes him so tough?
Well, for starters, he's like a front rower playing on the wing. Your idea, the wingers these days aren't that big, so I don't know how much he weighs. No offense to him, he's probably it feels like it's a 120 kilo prop running at you on the wing.
So what do? You just got to get as low as you can.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
If you go up top, that's probably his strength. Is his bumpers. They probably bump you off. So yeah, your best is probably going low and as hard as you can, and to try and stop his momentum and hopefully get some help from the other boys.
Is he a tough player to go against offensively as well when you're trying to score and he's defending, or is there guys who are tougher than him?
Probably the toughest one I'd play against would have to be Will Chambers.
Right,
yeah.
From the Storm.
Yeah.
And why is he so effective defensively?
I don't know, just how he reads the game. He's real smart, and I think he's real patient as well. I actually like the way he plays.
Yeah.
But when you come up against him, he's a real hard player to beat. Yeah, offensively.
A huge thank you to Kevin Naiqama. A really interesting story from the NRL. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Sackville Hotel in Rozelle. Great for a pint, great for a feed if you're ever in that area. One of the great pubs in the Balmain Rozelle area. Well worth a look. And for now, that is it though this week on the Stack Report. Make sure you check out our back catalogue. Some great conversations there that you probably enjoy if you've enjoyed this interview. But for now, as I say, it's time to wrap things up for the Stack Report.